welcome back to Musings by Nikki. I'm Nikki, and I've been AWOL for a minute, but I'm back. And my daughter just graduated. My oldest daughter just graduated from high school, and it was a really big deal. And we had a bunch of friends in town, and so it's been business. The business of the day has been, or the last weeks has been definitely revolved around that. And now that that is over, I will show you what I managed to, the only really work-related thing that I managed to get done in the last few weeks is this beauty right here. This is a design team project for Tracie Fox Creative, and she's been putting out kits like crazy fast recently, and there are two now of these Notelets Sets. Notelets Sets. So this is Notelet Set 1. So this is my take on it. I have used that, and then I have also used her mini watercolor butterflies. Those are the two kits that I have used. I will have them linked below. And initially she's got a video, Tracie does, that shows you how to make them up into a set of cards and envelopes. And that's what it's supposed to be. 5 cards, 5 envelopes, and then there's a whole bunch of little sentiments that you can cut out that match and put on. So like here's one of the sentiments right here where it says note. So I chose to put that on the front. So you can make it up into cards, and then this is like a little folio that opens up, and there are cards and envelopes stuck in the two sides, and then you can close it up, and it's awesome. I have used several of them as cards recently because it's graduation season. It was time to write notes and cards to a bunch of people, but also I have needed just a bunch of thank you gifts, and I have made a handful of personalized journals that I didn't film. Those are for some very special teachers and people in Lizzie's life, and they got their journals, and if any of them are watching this right now, I hope that you love them and are enjoying them already. But I also needed just some kind of general like thank you gifts and things for people that I don't know as well, so I don't know what type of journal to make them. And when I saw this kit, I was like, oh my gosh, that will work perfect for kind of what I had in mind. So that said, this I have turned into a 2-signature journal, and we will take a look at how I did it. So this is just some seam binding that I have, but it really doesn't need it because look at, I managed to not make it super alligatory mouth. On the front here I've just got some corrugated cardboard, some lace, and I have one of the butterflies from this kit, I believe, that I sewed on, and then I used the sentiment note. And in the kit you get two like cover pieces, so they come with a spine already kind of set out for you. So I've used those 2 cover pieces, but in order to stiffen them up a little bit, I put a piece of, oh goodness sake, that was loud. That was my YouTube up on my computer just decided to oh, I have a notification for a live. That's what it was. Anyway, got that figured out. Good thing I had my mouse right here. Let's move that aside. So I used the 2 pieces, and I put a piece of file folder in between them. So I put the piece on front and the piece on back and glued them both to file folder, and then sewed around the front cover and the back cover. And I also put a piece of book binding tape down on here just to reinforce the spine, so I knew that it would, stand the test of time. And then let's take a look. So in the kit you get a page of like 5 belly bands, and then you get these. All right, I'm not even sure where I was at. Someone came to the door. So I think I was telling you that the original kit comes with 5 of these belly bands, and they are meant to go around the set of note cards, right? So, and the set of envelopes, and those fit right inside here, and then you can pull them out and use them as you want to. This is what the envelope looks like. So this I've just printed onto plain old paper. They're beautiful. I love this kind of floral butterfly print. And then here is the note card, so, thus notelets, right? So the note cards go inside the envelope. You can, you know, seal them up and mail them. They'd be lovely little happy mails if you would like. So I have used the belly band on the front and the back to put in one of the actual envelopes and note cards just the way it was intended. And then what I have done for the pages is I've printed out the note cards. I printed out the full set of note cards and the, oops, let me make sure I'm in frame here. The full set of note cards and the full set of envelopes. And let me show you, because I've got the other kit printed out here. Oh, let me find one. Okay, so here's how, this is the other set, by the way. This is Notelets Set 2, and I will show you all this, and we're going to make one of these journals together. And it'll probably take a course of a couple videos, but that's the intention, is to show you how I did this. So I took this and I thought, you know what? If I cut the flaps off and just cut this out, it makes a page. And then both of them have background pages that are kind of a faded, you know, colors. And they're meant to be liners or the inside pages. And this one has this kind of grayish look, and I thought you can totally write over the top of that. And so I printed all the envelopes and all of the cards, and I cut the flaps off and I cut them all out. And the envelopes are understandably a little bit bigger than the note cards, which is fine because I like different size pages. That's just kind of part of how I roll. And so I used them and made 2 signatures, and this is what it turned out. I got some of my different types of lace out. And then, like I said, I also used the mini watercolor butterflies, and they're just these really pretty little paintings, and they've got the name of the butterfly down there. So I've just used them as little embellishments. I did use some parchment paper because I thought it went well with kind of the general scheme, color scheme here. And these are so pretty. They're just very painterly, very like watercolor painted flowers and butterflies. It's a lovely set. And they make great cards and note cards and stuff. And they also make a great mini little journal. And it makes up really fast. I did then print some of them, some of the cards and envelopes 2 to a page. And when you print them 2 to a page, you get, and then I tried to use as many of my scraps up as possible. When you do it 2 to a page, you get these little cute mini envelopes that then fit inside of the journal really well, since this is a small journal. I used a couple of doilies, craft colored doilies. And then I just used lace on tabs. Here's a little pocket that I made out of some of the belly bands. I just glued it on bottom and made little pockets. And then there are some larger watercolor butterflies, so I have just put a few of those into this pocket. They act as journal cards now. And here's the middle of this signature. I did tear. I had a couple of extra pages of cards and stuff that I printed off, just knowing that I wanted to make tags. And since this isn't really a kit that comes with tags because it's not intended to work like this, I knew that I'd want to make a few little pockets and tags, and so I printed a couple extra pages. Here I've just torn the edge of that and made a pocket, and then I took a piece of, this is probably the front side of something, and folded it in half and made a little fold-out journal card. Then I also have beads and this little butterfly charm on the binding strings. So I will flip through quickly and just give you an idea, right? So I mean, it's a writing journal. There's lots of space in here for writing. This is another one of those little mini envelopes where I printed to a page. You can see some of these pages are shorter than others because some of them are the envelopes and some are the note cards. Here are some more of those little mini watercolor journal cards, butterfly tags, mouthful of things that didn't just make sense, I'm sure. There are some more in that little pocket. Here's another one of the small, you know, 2 to a page envelopes. And then I've sewn this on, so there's threads. I've left the threads. Here I made a little top tuck spot and I put a little just tag from my stash. Here I had some extra left and I had a piece of the book, of the file folder that I used to reinforce the cover. So I backed this tag with that and made a little torn off tuck spot in the center of that signature. So yeah, isn't this a sweet little journal? The pages are so pretty. The backgrounds are nice. I love this just kind of springy pastel look. The watercolor butterflies go perfectly with this kit. And there's my maker's mark. And here's, like I showed you before, that envelope on the back. And that one feels thicker. I think I might have put a couple of cards in there. What did I do? Oh, maybe not. It just felt thicker. Anyway, aren't they beautiful? So if you wanted to, you could print the cards out onto cardstock, and they would be a little thicker. But even on my, I just use my color copy paper, and that works really well too. So, and then I've used the belly band. Aren't they just gorgeous? It's a really pretty kit. Yeah. And then you can see the cover is nice and thick now. And then I just bound it, you know, into, I was going to do a single signature, but I had enough to make 2 signatures. I think some of it, you know, if you've been a fan of my channel for any amount of time, you know that sometimes I send a print job to the printer and then stop paying attention, and all kinds of mayhem ensues, and I end up having to reprint things and redo things. But I try not to throw the bad prints away. I'm going to put these back in here. So I try not to put the bad, you know, get rid of the bad prints. I try to, like I showed you, rip them up, make those little corner pockets and tuck spots and that sort of stuff. So, so there is that. Now, let's look at what I've got. I have a whole pile of goodness. I'm going to push a majority of this aside and show you what I've got going on here. Let me stick that back in order. So I thought, since there is a second set of Notelet out, that we would make the journal over again. And I'll show you how I did it. So these are probably all actually backwards in order. So let's see if I can get to the front. Okay, yes. So I believe I have pieces of 3 kits here that I've got printed out. So I'm going to set those over aside for a second, and then I'm going to go from the back of this pile. So here are the 2 covers. So you get 2 of these, and I know you can't see the whole thing in frame, but you can see that there are lines, and that makes the spine there. And there are 2 pages of these that are meant to go front to back like this. So you can have, you know, both. So you can choose which one of those you want to be the front. We are going to reinforce our cover with, I just pulled out a piece of black cardstock. It's not super thick. It's a pretty thin one, but by the time we get both of the covers on there with the cardstock, I have a feeling it'll be thick enough. So we've got that. You get those covers, and those I have not printed anything on the back because you won't ever see that. So I've got those. Then you get the page of belly bands. These are meant to go around the cards and to hold the cards and things into the actual like little folder. And we're going to use them to make some pockets, and we'll use them to make the 2 belly bands in the front and back like I had. And then, you know, we'll use parts of them for other things as well. Who knows? But it's nice fodder for designing. So we've got those. And then you get 5. So these are the note cards, the middle part here. So you get 5 different ones. And these are just all like old vintage advertisements and stuff, just a whole range of variety of different types of advertisements. So you get those, and then you get all these little sentiments, and so about half of them say something, like the types of things that you would, you know, send someone a card for. So some of them just say note, for you, sorry, thank you, thanks a million, happy birthday, and different ones say different things. And then you've got blanks as well. We will maybe use some of those. They work great in little collages. Maybe we'll use them as tabs. I didn't use hardly any of those for the journal that I made. However, I do have them saved because I do have a set of these printed out, like I said, that I've used as thank you cards and such. Since, you know, graduation, you end up having lots of things to send thank you cards for. So here are the other pages. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the pages with the cards on them. And those I have printed those I have not. I thought I had printed the backs. Some of them I printed the backs and some I didn't. I thought since this is kind of a black and white thing, I was going to leave plain white papers in there too. I'm going to make this kind of a very neutral black and white journal. So that's the goal here. These I have printed. So they have this, you can see here's the dark, like original pattern. And then here's the lighter kind of backing pages. And you could totally, it's light enough that you could write over that and journal over that. So I have put the envelopes, I have put the backing page. I've printed the backing page on those. So you get 5 envelopes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I think I've printed a couple of them twice. And I also printed a couple of them 2 to a page. So as you can see, there's the little Tracie Fox logo, and it just prints the same one. When I say 2 to a page, it prints the same one twice. So that way we get those small, cute little envelopes. These are more like a coin size envelope. And these we can put into the journal in different ways. And then, yeah, I printed a couple of them because I wanted to have, there's another 2x1. And I printed a couple of them twice because I wanted to have one to stick in the front and the back that I won't cut down to pages. I won't cut the tabs off because we'll actually fold those into envelopes, right? Also, other things, so that's the kit. And then I also printed, let me show you before I show you what else I grabbed. Tracie has a kit called Black and White Fussy Cut Flowers. So I printed those off thinking that would be a good complement because, you know, I love to throw a little floral into things. And I thought that would be kind of nice to mix in since it's already black and white. And these come in that kit as well. They're just little kind of floral plates, if you will. And then the same type of thing, but these are as a tag. And I thought we could use these as tags to stick into things or clip onto pages. And then I also printed out a, she has a kit, Tracie's labels. I've got tons and tons of them. And but I printed specifically for this project. I printed, these are just plain and simple labels. That's literally what they're called. Plain and simple labels. She's had them in her shop for a long time. They are fantastic and so very useful for 1,000 applications. This kit comes with several pages of this same thing, but like different colors and such. I printed off clearly the black and white, or the black and neutral ones. So those are the additional pieces that I have printed. So the plain and simple labels, the black and white fussy cut flowers, and then the Notelet 2 kit. Then I also grabbed some scraps that I thought kind of went along with this general theme. I grabbed some music paper scraps because they go along with this. I also found this, I had this little container, envelope here of black and white clusters. And I thought, okay, maybe we could use some of those. Clearly, this is way too much fodder for one tiny little journal, and this would bulk it way the heck up. But maybe we'll even just use one on the front or something. And then, if you've been watching my channel, you know that I did a review of Your Creative Studio box a while ago, and I was like somewhat impressed, somewhat unimpressed. I was on the fence. I like all the stuff. It just seemed kind of odd. Maybe that's a better way to say it. It seemed like kind of like a lot of it was on theme. Sorry, I'm going to drink some coffee. A lot of it was on theme, and then some of it just seemed like totally out of the blue. So I thought, let me just, because I felt like I got my money's worth. So I was like, let me get one more set and just see if that was a thing or what. So I got another set, and it was kind of the same. There was this really beautiful birds, and I'm sure we'll play with those in a different, there was like birds and washi and paper and vellum stickers and all the things that seemed to go together with this bird theme. And that was lovely, and stamps and everything. And then there was just the randomness. It was random filler. So there was like this package of randomness. And then I got to this. And this is, I'm pretty sure this is maybe Tom Chalky is the website. I have a membership there, and this sticker is straight out of a ping file thing. So I am not sure. I mean, if whoever designed this is members of that, then it's totally legit. Although I think you have to alter it. I don't know. I don't know. My feelings about things being copied are just very strong. So that gave me a moment's pause. But I will need to do some more investigation to figure that out exactly. Then some random like Rebel, Hilfiger clothing tags. And just random fodder, some floral, some not. And then a whole package of just random papers, which could go, I mean, with just anything. So I did pull that pile out and thought, okay, let's try throwing some of that in here. There were these little bird stickers, which I thought, okay, they're black and white and they're vellum. So, you know, we can throw some of those in there. And also, oh, these. So these are note bar stickers. And they're little, like literally they look kind of ripped on the end, and they look like vintage ads. And I was like, hello, that goes right with this kit. So we'll do that. And then I got this handwriting, that action of emotion and thoughts. That's what that says today. And these are little tear off. They're perforated and tear off. So I'm not entirely sure with this thing, and each one of them is exactly the same. It's a whole pad of them. But I thought, you know what, we will see, because I'm adding floral in, and those are floral. I don't know. We'll play with it. And then this, I really don't know what this is. This is supposed to be, I think, tickets, but it's definitely, they are all the same, and I don't know the language. Some sort of Eastern European or something. They do have some little tear. Anyway, I thought, you know, collage fodder. So I don't know. Maybe I'll give Your Creative Studio like one more chance I don't know. And then I grabbed some black laces and some black pieces. I don't have much black type of thing. I have this black ribbon. This stuff all came from the junk boxes from my friends. I had this one piece of black fabric. I don't know where that's from. Oh, I did have a couple of black doilies. I thought we could throw those in. With some black and white ribbon. I had this giant black ribbon. I know exactly where this came from. It was around one of those fluffy blankets, you know, and then it Velcros together. But I saved it because I loved the ribbon. So I thought those could be cute tabs in there or something. And on top of all that, I thought, you know, I was looking around my desk. I thought maybe we need a couple of Tim Holtz people. So I just grabbed out a couple. And I grabbed out my little mini marquee letters because I thought if we put something like this on the front, put some of those in there, or these could even just be stapled on things or who knows what. So I just grabbed way more things than we will ever need for this tiny little book, but we will use them nonetheless. Let me push them over here and bring the kit back out. So what I am going to do is I will go ahead and cut out all of the pages of this kit, right? So these are the ones that I'm going to use. I'm going to shut the camera off. I'm going to fussy cut the flowers. I'm going to cut these mini envelopes. I'm going to cut as actual envelopes. I will cut 2 of these big envelopes as actual envelopes. I'll cut around the whole thing, and the rest I'm going to cut just this middle section. So I'm going to cut the tabs off. And maybe I will save one to show you exactly what I mean, so I can make sure that I'm being clear with what I'm trying to tell you. So I'm going to go ahead and cut all that stuff up, and then I will be back later, much later, but it will just be like a blink of an eye for you. So anyway, I'll see you in a minute. Bye. All right, guys. So, I think I left off yesterday and I said, I'll see you in a second, which, you know, it was longer than a second to cut all this out, but it's actually now 24 hours later, and my allergies are absolutely like just on 100 right now. Now I was going to say for some reason, but I know exactly why, because when I look outside the window over there, there is white cottonwood just flying in the breeze everywhere, which I am super allergic to, and along with a lot of other trees and stuff. So my allergies are on 100. Also, in the last 24 hours, my husband sprained his ankle, and so now we've got him situated with crutches and an ace bandage and ice and ibuprofen. And then this morning we've been to the clinic with my eldest daughter, who got in a fight with our immersion blender and cut her finger all up. She's fine. They're both fine. But boy, it's been an eventful 24 hours. Somewhere in there I managed to cut this stuff apart and go to Bible study last night. So that's been my 24 hours. How have your last 10 seconds been? Because that's when I saw you last. Anyhow, moving on. Here are my fussy cut flowers. I have, I have up here, like I stopped cutting out all of the sentiments and the little strips. Like I decided there was just no way I ever needed all of them. So I cut up most of them, but not all of them. So I've got a little stack of the sentiments and the blank things. I have my labels fussy cut. Then I've got the 2 sheets of floral, like these are kind of like label-y type size things, and then these are the tags. I've got those, and I printed these onto my regular photocopy paper and backed them, and I'm not doing a lot of inking in this journal, and I'm not going to back these with cardstock or anything. They're kind of thin, but this book doesn't have a whole lot of space, and I don't have room to bulk it up with a lot of things. This is meant to be just a very simple journal, something that you can put together you know, in less than a day, and have it as like still a really nice thing that like you could give as a thank you gift or a quick little gift to somebody. Or even if you just needed a little, if you wanted a little journal or something. I also have the large envelopes, like the regular size, and then the ones that I printed out 2 to a page. So I have those cut out. And then, so I'm going to set those over here and we'll make those up. I've got the 5 belly bands right here. And then I've got the 2 covers. 1, 2 covers, and the black, we'll make that first. And then the pages. So I wanted to try and show you that these are the cards. Let's see. Yes. These are the cards, and yeah, and these are the envelopes. Now, normally the card would be smaller than the envelope. I'm so sorry about my allergies, guys, if I'm sniffling and stuff. Can you see that? So these are the envelopes and these are the cards. And the, you know, clearly you would not be able to fit this card into this envelope. Then I remembered what I did. And I remembered only to do it for the cards, not the envelopes. So when I get Tracie's printables, because the paper is slightly different in the UK than like our regular, so A4 and 8.5 by 11. When I print hers out, I usually, to fit them full bleed on my printer, I put them to full bleed, so borderless printing, and then I need to say fill page. So I usually lose a little bit off the sides or something. If it's a full page. If it's just a piece of ephemera, it doesn't matter so much because the tags and stuff just get a little bit slightly smaller or bigger. So with the cards, I remembered when I went to print them, I remembered to say fill the page, which made them slightly bigger. And I forgot to do that with the envelopes, which is fine. They would be different sized. If I told them both to fill the page, then the envelopes would have been slightly bigger than the cards, which is how it should work in the first place. Anyway, like I said, really doesn't matter to me. So we've got 5 of the envelope pages and 5 of the card pages. And then I've cut out, just out of my stash of some coffee stained papers, and I've cut them just slightly bigger because I clearly remembered to say fill page on these, on the covers. So in order to make, you know, this not be super small, it's hard to show that there, like that. I didn't want there to be huge gaps at the top and bottom, so I cut the coffee stain papers a little bit bigger. So I've got the smaller ones here, then I've got bigger, and then the coffee stain papers are just slightly bigger. So we'll fold those into signatures in a second, and we'll work up the cover. But I wanted to show you, I saved one of the envelopes to kind of just give you an idea of how I turned that, because I wasn't sure if I was making sense, into an actual page. So when you cut the envelope out, you've got this, and then you fold the flaps in, you fold this over, glue it, and that's the top flap. When you want it to be a page, you simply cut off the flap. Oh, all 3 of the flaps, really. And there are these lovely little lines that make it really easy for you to follow. I do these with my paper trimmer usually. So, but now I have cut these flaps off and I've got an actual just page size page. You can keep, you know, like the top flap like this, you can keep that as a good size flap, that top flap that folds over. That's a good size piece, and you could use this as like a tuck spot on the side of a page or something. So I will throw that up in my scrap pile. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is deal with making up the cover because it takes a little while to dry. So I'm going to move my scissors over here. I'm going to take, I've got a good cup of hot coffee here. because it feels good on my throat, which is super scratchy right now. And because in Minnesota, last year, I live way, way up north, in case you don't know. And last year in Minnesota, we had a drought. Well, most of the country did. And so we really didn't have very many mosquitoes. However, the back part of our property lines up to just a big bog. And so it's pretty marshy, and yeah, and usually that's a great breeding ground for mosquitoes. Last year, because of the drought, it was so dry, we didn't really have many mosquitoes. This year, they are, as much as the cottonwoods are there flying around in the breeze, there's like 500 times that many mosquitoes. My poor kid, the one with the blender finger, she gets chewed so bad by mosquitoes. She's just a hot mess right now. Okay, I am going to use my art glitter glue, and I'm not worrying about going all the way right up to the edges because I am going to sew around the cover. If you don't want to sew around the cover, then certainly just make sure that you get this, glue all the way up to the edges so that you have a nice finish there. And we're just going to put a nice layer on here, and then I am going to put it down here. And I want just a tiny, tiny sliver showing around the edge. So I'm going to line it up in the corner like this so I don't have to trim two sides. I only have to trim these two sides here. So I'm going to push that down nice and good and run my... the temperature dropped quite a bit. Yesterday was a little bit sunnier and nicer, and today is just kind of... Well, it was sunny and nice this morning, but it is not anymore clearly sunny and nice. Well, not clearly to you. I'm just babbling now. Boy, it's been quite the 24 hours, guys. Okay, and now I am just going to hand trim, and I'm gonna go and just try to leave. You can trim right to the paper if you want, but since I've chosen black cardstock and it kind of matches, I am just going to leave a little bit of an edge around the outside because I just like the look. Also, there have been tons of equipment out there grading the roads today and stuff. Last summer they left our streets in a little bit of a shambles after a bunch of construction, which if you've been following my channel, you got to see the tractors and trucks and stuff. Okay, so that is one side. Now, making sure that we have it in the right direction, I'm going to flip it over and make sure that I put this one down in the same direction. I'm going to quick just dry fit it and make sure that, yeah, okay, make sure that I just wanted to make sure that I remembered to print both of the covers on Fill the Page, right? So that I don't end up getting this one all full of glue and then it not fit or be too small. So anyway, the streets have been just a mess, and spring breakup, when the mud comes, when all the snow melts and the mud comes, it's called spring breakup here. Do you guys all call that? Well, I guess if you live where there's snow, there's probably not a whole lot of spring breakup in Arizona or Australia. But here, when the snow melts, it's literally breaking up the snow and it's turning everything into a giant mud pit, especially where they didn't finish the streets last year. Out in front of my parents' house, which is just kitty corner here, it's been a mess. So it was nice to see them out there doing some work to it today. Hopefully my parents get a reasonable front yard back, because their front yard did not look like it does now when this whole construction thing started. It's been like cut in half. All right, the other half being mud. So I am going to set this aside. Because we used glue on both the front and back side, I am not worrying about it warping. If we were to just have glued on one side of the black cardstock, then we would have needed to probably put it under something heavy to dry. But when you've got glue on both sides, then you don't have to worry about it like curling up or warping. So I'm just going to set this aside to dry, and we will worry about like putting the folds and stuff in it later. Meanwhile, we are going to fold up some signatures. So the envelopes have that nice line in them, and I'm going to fold them in half. And I'm going to fold all the papers in half now that I've got all lined up. And I won't make you watch me fold papers because, goodness sakes, that would be a boring video unless it was ASMR. Then, you know, you'd be wanting to do that on purpose. But I'm going to go ahead and fold all these up, and then we will make them up into signatures. Guys, so we've got ourselves organized here. I have 5 of the slightly bigger ones, 5 of the slightly smaller ones. I think I have 10 of the coffee stained pages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. So we are going to go. That means we have 5, 10, and 20. So we're going to do 2 10-page signatures. And then I'm going to just stick these 2 black doilies in the middle too. So let us assemble them, and I'll be right back. Our 2 signatures all ready to go. They have been assembled. I do not mind the, like I said, I don't mind the white, all the way white, bright white on some of them. I think it adds just kind of a nice contrast in this because we're going for that black and white look. And the black and white, these, while these have just a slight kind of aged look behind them, the black and white florals do not. And so it's just, we'll just do that. We'll just do that. So we've got our 2 signatures ready to go. Now I need to fold up my envelopes, and I'm going to use my scoreboard, which you definitely do not have to use your scoreboard if you don't have one. Or you can just fold them along the fold lines, which Tracie has so lovingly provided us. I'm just going to do this because I'm usually pretty crap at trying to make nice folds, and this definitely helps me make that happen a little better. So I am just using my darkened lines here to line up the top edge and the bottom edge of that line, and then folding. And if you are new to this whole thing, my one biggest tip when you're using your scoreboard, besides drawing in some of these lines, because I drew these in, I drew these 3 darkened lines in because I use them as guides. Otherwise, you just get lost in the sea of little, grooves. And I'm pretty sure I saw this on somebody else's channel that they had drawn in some lines, and I was like, that's brilliant. So I went ahead and did that. But also my other biggest tip, and this I just learned from doing it wrong 100,000 times, is rather than going up on edge like this, to use the flat edge of your bender, because otherwise, your bone folder, because otherwise this tip wants to poke through, and I have poked through and still do even when I'm doing the flat edge like this. But if you go like too far like this, you think it's going to give you a better crease, but actually it just pokes through your paper. So we've got all of our 4 folds done. I'm going to fold up the bottom. I'm going to fold in this side flap here, which actually the side flap should go underneath the bottom flap if they overlap at all. And that's because when the card slides in, it can follow this rail and not get hung up on this one underneath. So the side flap should always go in first, and then the bottom flap over that. And then this whole side piece folds in. And making sure that that is lined up correctly. And I look like I folded all kinds of wonky here. So I'm going to just do my best to line that up and give it a nice fold, and then fold the top flap down. And now all that's left to do is glue it shut, but then you are left with a nice little pocket. Now I am going to show you one more thing that I usually do. Well, I have this here, and hold on, I need to grab my big punch. Where'd it go? Hold on. There we go. So, because I find that sometimes it's really hard when you've got a straight edge this close, there's no way to get in there and get the envelope really easily. So I use, this is my big 2.5 inch punch, and it's great for making like a thumb hole. The only thing that I will say is when you're doing this, you have to make sure that however deep you go with your punch, you want to make sure your envelope is going to cover that. Otherwise it looks weird when you close your flap down and there's still some thumb hole showing. So I can see that I've got till here. So I've got plenty of room. And really all I'm trying to do is make a small notch. And that way it just makes it a little easier to get the paper in and out. So there we go. And that just, see, that gives me a little bit of room to reach in and get the card out once I have glued it all shut. So I am going to go ahead and fold up and glue together my other envelopes. Well, here, I can show you how I do this one. So I'm going to put glue on this flap. Here like this. And over here. And like I said, if there's any overlap, and I try not to go too far to the inside edge of my flap here because I don't want glue to seep out and go into the envelope. So I try to make sure that it's mostly on the outside edges, because I know when I press down it's going to, you know, squeeze out a little. So, and then I feel like this edge, well, not much, but enough to make me crazy. So it was just slightly off. So there we go. Then it's open, and I always double check my envelopes open and not are glued shut. And so that one is good. There is one envelope made up. Envelope. How do you guys say it? So I'm gonna get this glue off here, and then I am going to, the tip of my glue bottle is getting super gunky. I think it's time to give it a good clean off camera. You guys don't need to watch me do that. All right, I'm gonna get these done, and then we will rejoin. show everybody your owie finger? Look at her owie finger. Does it hurt still? Is it still throbbing? Public service announcement, guys. Immersion blender blades are very, very sharp. Right, Lizzie? If there's one thing she learned since graduating, I mean, when you graduate, all of a sudden you lose all the knowledge in your head, but one thing she learned since graduating is immersion blender blades are very, very sharp, and putting your finger in there and then somehow turning it on is like not fun, right, Lizzie? Yeah, she says yes. She also is not amused at my antics right now. But now you guys all saw her owie finger. Oh, do you want to say thank you to all of the lovely people though that said nice things to you on your graduation video?
Thank you for all the nice comments. I appreciate it.
I have some awesome subscribers, don't I? Yeah. All right, I'm going back into fast forward. I just took a break because she came in here. Envelopes made up, and you got to see Lizzie for a second. If you are interested, if you didn't see it already, I did post a little video, the one just prior to this is of glimpse into her graduation day. Okay, and now I want to get my cover. So I think I'm gonna fold my cover, and then that's maybe where we will end for today. Actually, before I fold my cover, what I'm going to do is sew. And if you can see on here where the two lines for the spine are, right there, I am going to sew around this front cover here and around the back cover. And I am not going to try and sew around the spine. Oh, I forgot to put book tape. Normally I put a piece of book tape in underneath this image, but I forgot to do that. It'll be fine. This is pretty good and thick. So I'm going to sew around the front and back, but the spine doesn't have nearly enough room. I mean, it has barely enough room for us to sew two signatures in. That's why we can't make it too thick. And so if I try to sew, that'll like decrease the space even more, because, like, you know, you can't punch through the sewing very well. So I'm not going to worry about sewing the spine. I'm just going to sew around the two covers, and then I will be right back. Here we are. So I've sewn around the both the covers, and I just wanted to show you in the middle here, I tried not to go right up against the spine, because I am going to try and fold on just slightly on the outside of the fold marks, just because I want to give myself as much space as possible in that spine without weirdly decreasing the sizes of the covers. So, I mean, if I scored over too far from the line, then that would make the cover weird shaped and it wouldn't fit with the pages and everything, because that's the beauty of using this kit, is that all of the pieces are meant to fit together. So what I am doing now is I am lining up, and I'm going to go, like I said, just slightly on the outside edge of where my fold line is. And now remembering that I'm trying to go through 3 layers, I'm just gonna give it the best back and forth I can, and then do the same on this side. All right, I've got my 2 fold marks in there, and now I'm going to fold them over. And the way I'm going to do this, because it's thicker, I'm going to roll it over the edge of my desk, which you're not going to be able to see very well. Let me see. Okay, there. So I'm going to move my glass mat right to the edge of my desk like this, and then I'm going to just kind of gently try to follow that fold line. But if I were to just like go squeeze it without some sort of straight edge underneath there, there's a chance that it could warp, just because that, you know, no matter how hard I score it, it still has to go through 3 layers of paper. Once I've got it folded over pretty well, then I'll give it a good burnish down. Excuse my sniffles, guys. Okay, that one feels good. Then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I just slide it to the edge until I feel it give. And then you know, the edge of my glass mat's a little rounded, so that's kind of nice. It just gives me a nice little, once I feel like it's good, then I can kind of push it back onto itself here and give it a good burnish too. All right, so there we go. We've got our cover done. So now we have a cover, and let me push you back over here so we're not awkwardly, like, there we go. Let me pull back up to the desk. Now, if we've done this correctly, our signatures should fit nicely inside there, which they do. And we've got just a little bit of headroom, a little bit of foot room, and the papers come almost to the edge, but not fully. And it's not super alligatory mouth, and we're going to endeavor to keep it that way by not overstuffing it. And then, you know, we'll make our 2 belly bands, and these will slide right in there. So, hold on a second. Goodness. All right. That's why I kept all those papers nice and flat, the tags and stuff. So we're not going to overly embellish this. We are going to, I will come back in the next video and we'll use some of those papers that I've got over here. We'll do something on the cover, and we'll throw some of those florals in on a couple of, you know, these types of pages, and or these, and just kind of, you know, zhuzh it up just a bit. We're going to not overly decorate it. And then we're going to put some laces and stuff on the edge, just like I did with this one. You know, then we'll do just a slight decoration on the front and maybe put some charms on the bottom. So thanks for joining me for this video. All of these kits that I am using will be written down and linked in the description box below. They are all from Tracie Fox Creative. So I hope you will go check those out. And I will see you again in the next day or 2 here, and we will finish this little journal up, and then we are moving on to the ocean journal, which has grown into a way bigger project, as I've got a whole like massive pile of stuff just right over there all ready for it, and some fun ideas on making some super fun papers to go in it, and in them it's going to be a whole set. Anyway, so I will be back with that in the next few days, but we'll finish this little guy up first. And thanks, Tracie, for the awesome kits. These work so great. And I will see you guys very soon. I hope you have a wonderful morning or afternoon or evening or middle of the night, whatever time it is, on whatever side of this globe of ours that you live on. And until I see you guys next time, stay safe and take care. I hope that you're healthy and well, and I hope that your allergies are not as bad as mine. And I will see you guys very soon. Take care, and God bless you. Bye, guys.